finally, I do apologize for that delay, everybody. We wanted to start the day off with, maybe somebody that we haven't really cast a whole lot. And we somehow landed on Random7HS, so failed miserably at that. But we are here, and I'm here with Boulevard as per usual. Boulevard, what's up, my man?
In my defense, you said you wanted to get a random.
Whoa.
And I've done that for you.
Okay, all right, fair enough. We'll take it. We got a random.
In all reality, me and SJW behind the scenes probably just dropped about 30 F-bombs in a row while trying to find a couple of unknown names that we could bring you, only to find that it was cross-shard, or we didn't have either of the players actually, or they had disabled spectate. And after flailing around with our heads cut off for about 5 minutes, we decided we need to get into a game, and we settled on Random7HS from the United States versus CriticalVeins from Jamaica.
Oh, you did confirm it was Jamaica. Awesome. You ever been to Jamaica, Boulevard?
No.
I have.
I've only been to, Jamaica's technically outside the United States, right?
Yes, yeah, it's in the Caribbean, I think. Is that right?
That's what, because I know that, I know a lot of, Americans that go to Jamaica pretty regularly, but I was pretty sure that, it's not, a territory of the United States.
No. That's the Virgin. That's the Virgin Islands you're thinking of.
Yeah, I couldn't remember, how many of those we actually had. Fucking colonizers.
As we take over the world, the U.S.
Basically. But no, I've actually only been to, I think, 3 countries: the United States, Canada, and Japan.
Nice.
Which is a pretty weird spread.
You got one up on me though, man. I want to go to Japan so bad. So
I've been to Japan
awesome.
3 times. That shit's lit.
All right, you don't have to brag now. Come on. Chill.
Okay, if you insist, I'll continue bragging. I never paid to go there. I went for free every time. I was flown out by the company of the card game as an invitee to the World Championship. It was absolutely great. Stayed there for a week.
Oh, that's how you got there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Okay. All right, well, into the gameplay we go here. Game 1 of CriticalVeins versus Random. We all know Random. I think we have actually seen CriticalVeins at least one time in the past.
Well, they're running the lineup, so I would assume so. I know Random said, okay, so Random is we were really rooting for Random in the Duels of Shurima, right? He brought the deep deck. He didn't really work out on it. I know this time he threatened to bring Spooky Karma, and we see him start off on the Shen Fiora, so let me just confirm. No, they are actually just both running Shen Fiora, an Aphelios deck, and Twisted Fate Fizz.
Wow, I blame you. I said find a random, and look what you did.
I found a random. All right, you didn't find shit, so this is, at least I got us this far. I got us into a game. You're welcome, everybody, for bringing you high-octane Legends of Runeterra action to bring in. Also, SJW, I have great news.
You saved a bunch of money on your car insurance by switching to Geico.
No, I spend less on my money on car insurance than Geico does. I pay a criminally small amount for my car insurance.
Oh, wow, all right.
But I did spend the 75 minutes between me waking up and this tournament starting actually nailing down and getting down the name for 3 Leviathans. So if it comes up from here on out, it's ready.
Okay, all right. I like what I'm hearing today. And actually, so similarly, before the tournament, I was able to prepare. If you guys are just joining us, if you're here when we were asking for the points donations from you fine folks in chat, we were going to do a cast where during the last round of Swiss, we would only use, actor names, anime character names, stuff like that, video game character names for the card names in replace of the card names. We're not allowed to use the card names. We will be doing that later today. And some other fun stuff along the way to spice things up a little bit when, some of these mirror matches might come down the pipe.
Yeah, look, we know that it's going to be a long day in terms of seeing the same decks that we've seen for the last couple of weeks. Me and Shit Just Works are going to do our absolute best to make sure that you guys are still entertained throughout that. And we really appreciate everybody coming out and still watching these events when the meta is not necessarily the most flashy.
That's one way to put it. That's one way to put it. So we got Random on Barrier here versus the typical Targon Bilgewater deck. Got the stun coming out from CriticalVeins. So I'm curious to see. I mean, listen, we know we're going to see, you already mentioned a couple times, Boulevard, the lineup. It did look like when I looked at the Fight Night lineups from last night, there was a little bit of experimentation happening. I liked what I saw. There was some new stuff happening. Not sure if we're going to see that today throughout the rounds of Swiss here in the OLS, but I would like to see some of what I saw. Maybe Sivir LeBlanc. Maybe they actually pop up today a little bit.
Sivir LeBlanc is so weird to me because it's actually a deck with a pretty decent ladder win rate, and we've seen it. It's never shown up as more than a random one-off in a top 16.
Yeah, and mid-range Frostbite as well is kind of fallen off. If we see anything similar to that, it's the Silver LeBlanc before the mid-range Frostbite too. So curious to see if we see that later today.
I was gonna say we can break up the monotony, but if you offer to break it up with Frostbite mid-range, I'll actually just stick with the lineup. I'm good there. That said, though, Critical Veins is getting down the Veiled Temple. Now, the Veiled Temple is a card that's really interesting to me because it looks really good prismatic, but I cannot, in good conscience, craft a prismatic one when I'm pretty sure it's getting nerfed in a week and a half.
Ah, you're expecting the nerf. All right, I like the call, and I also agree with the call.
I am cautious of the nerf. I don't want to like waste my essence, find out that it's completely unplayable post nerf, and now I've just like I don't want to prismaticize cards that will become unplayable in the relatively near future, or like have the chance to do so.
Man, it's gonna feel real bad if it does get nerfed, just from the perspective of, we had a Felios Veiled Temple as a strong 1-2 punch, and now basically the entire combo, so to speak, is getting nerfed if that's the case. So I do think a lot of people agree with you, though. I think they have the same sentiment. Boulevard Veiled Temple, very good.
This is a lot of responsibility, though, because I know for a fact that if I craft it prismatic, the card's getting gutted. So
that's how it works.
Is my essence worth the sanity of the Runeterra community? Should I be that hero to them, or do I greedily hang on to my essence like a dragon hoarding gold?
No, you hoard the gold. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. Yeah, you hoard until things settle, and then you craft the greatest EV stuff, right? Like the Celestial cards. You already craft all the Celestial cards as prismatic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, see, exactly. You know where it's at.
Yeah. So sorry, chat. I can't save you. SJW won't allow it. I have to hoard my resources.
All right, Equinox, another card that's seen some discussion as of late as well. I mean, it's another strong Celestial card. It shuts down a lot of different things, like, let's see, the Watcher, which is a card that's come up a lot as of late. It's a very good counter to that. Right now, we're seeing it just take out a pesky River Shaper, which is still part of the crux of the strategy of this barrier deck. So I do think that's definitely good for Critical Veins here, getting started. And with the size of the field on the side of Critical, damn, Random's going to have a tough time taking this one home, I think.
Yeah, the Hush in the hand of Critical is going to be a major breaking point in this matchup. If Random tries to get a little bit too greedy, has to proactively throw something out there. Although right now the Fiora is looking to threaten this level up, and Critical doesn't have any... I mean, we could, like, Bastion it, and then force another something out of Random. And then if our Hush does come out, this is one of the situations where double barrier will actually work, because you barrier, I Hush it, that was a burst speed reaction. You can once again burst speed it, and instead we're going to go for... What was the point of that? Is it to Veiled Temple the Charger up to match the Cythria? I feel like that would have been... I feel like the more cautious way to play this would have been to Bastion the Boxtopus first, because you're very optimistic that's going to get some kind of reaction out of Random, and then when you Hush the Fiora after the fact, that's what puts your Charger at 6 attack. Now we've used a lot of mana already, and while we do still have the Hush line available, I think that you would have been fine leaving the Cythria at 1 if Random just sacrificed the Fiora for that.
Yeah, Hush is still available, but like you said, we do have the double Riposte mana still available on the side of Random as well. Looks like we're going to use the Spirit's Refuge instead, though. Still going to save the Cythria here. Looks like we're valuing the Cythria. I'm curious to see if Random just going to do the whole thing. Going to go ahead and utilize Sharp Sight, which, I mean, I guess this kind of plays around. I mean, you're just not utilizing as much mana, and you don't get blown out as much from Hush, but we are still going to see the Hush come out, and at the end of the day, this Fiora is still going to die, which is a pretty big deal for Critical, just getting her off the board. Also,
I'm trying to think of what would have happened had we not played this spell initially to search up the 0 mana Zoe, because Guiding Touch would have saved the Boxtopus there, and we still would have had mana for that if we had started off with Bastion Hush. But because of the answers that Random threw out, and because he tried to protect both units, I don't know how it actually would have played out. I'm not going to speculate about it too much. We're just kind of going to move on. But how are we feeling about this selection here? I feel like Falling Comet or Golden Sister has to be the take. Meteor Shower, not getting a lot of value in a matchup like this.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Falling Comet, and it looks like that is what Critical is going to go ahead and take. And I do like that. You're not really worried about catching up as far as the field is concerned. You know, Critical is already pretty wide with units. We're pretty established on the board. So we're really just concerned about, well, what do you know? Bright Steel formation, chilling in the hand of Random. That's really what we want to focus on getting rid of here. The problem with taking something like Fallen Comet in this matchup, as always, again, with any Celestial deck, is deny. And we do see that in the hand of Random. And I don't imagine Random's going to play Bright Steel formation without the deny available, and that's exactly what we're seeing here on turn 10, like clockwork. Feels bad.
You want to know how I knew it was early in the day?
Oh, boy.
I forgot I had a second hand to look at.
Wow. So I've been screen shared for nothing this whole time is what you're saying.
I knew that Random had formation and deny just based off of the way that they were passing on 9. But I was like, how does SJW know that? He's a little slow. He's kind of dumb.
Whoa. All right, stream's over. Peace out, everybody. I got to go to New Jersey or New York real quick, wherever the hell you're at right now.
Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, that's right. Never mind. I forgot you moved
Wrong.
too. Wait, you're not. Where are you?
You don't have any idea
Oh,
where
no,
I am.
I'm figuring
Now
it
I have
out.
confirmation that I don't have to be afraid of you.
I know you moved. I used to be able to see what was behind you. I remember. I'll figure it out based on your basement.
You'll never know how often I'm moving now.
So it looks like we're actually going to go with the Equinox first, which unfortunately is going to get taken care of as well.
This is really good for CriticalVeins, though. Now we have the mana for the Falling Comet still. The Nopify came out, and I think it was a good Nopify on the side of Random. I think that your formation... oh, man, I mean, it's so scary, though, right? Because your formation being silenced, it's still a 9/9. Now you've opened it up to the Obliteration. Granted, it's post-combat, but CriticalVeins only taken 3 damage. That's nothing.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely a hard call to make. I think you do want to try to force the issue with the Bright Steel formation because right now Random is running out of steam. Now we're definitely out of steam. We do have a rally with Tiana, but we don't necessarily have the best field to rally with. So I like the call from Random overall, but unfortunately not going to work out.
I think it's a fine rally from Random just because this Cithria is still doing a lot of work. There's not a lot of fearsome blockers on the side of Critical. And now that we've gone for this Living Legends rather than the Immortal Fire, it's going to come down to RNG in a sense.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because Critical's actually kind of running out of steam as well. So if we do get the rally with the Tiana and we get back-to-back attacks, we don't see any other obliterate effects in Critical's hand, and Random has 2 denies. So there's a pretty good shot that Random is just able to get back-to-back attacks off here and then eventually take home the game, just being able to deny something like a Fallen Comet, like a Supernova, if that comes out of the Living Legends as well, which... I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right. It might just come down to RNG. We could just get a big Great Beyond that's pulled and just rip that and try to attack for game alongside the Zoe as well. I'm not sure what Great Beyond is at right now, but if it's at least at 12, you're looking at lethal. There is the Concerted Strike to prevent something like that, though.
I feel like this Concerted Strike is probably going to get used on this Zoe if she goes in. A 6-attack elusive is something that's really threatening for Random right now, and she's actually at 7 out of 10, so probably going to level up off of the Living Legends here, although these are some bad hits, SJW. We got a couple Crescent Strikes, we got a Meteor Shower and a Written in Stars. Like, these are not the ideal target.
There's 3 Crescent Strikes. That's pretty low RNG right there. I mean... The Golden Sisters is going to be pretty big if we can get it down after the Zoe level. And it looks like Zoe's going to be leveling right now alongside the Golden Sister coming down. So at the end of the day, this is still pretty good, taking into consideration Zoe's leveled effect, which means everything is going to be getting elusive and lifesteal. So I still like Critical Spot. This is going to be interesting. Yeah, here's the Concerted Strike, like you mentioned. There's no way that 6, 7, 8... Yeah, Pale Cascade just barely misses saving the Zoe here. And 4, 8, 9... That's going to be 10 damage going to face of Random right now.
Yeah, not much Random can do about that. A second Golden Aegis picked up. I feel like you might as well use one of these Golden Aegises this turn. Which will, unfortunately for... Random, just get one of the fleeting Crescent Strikes out of Critical's hand.
Yeah, but and you're right though, right? Because this is mana efficient. You're going to get the 3 spell mana banked into the next turn, and when you get into the next turn, you'll be able to attack again, followed by a Tiana if you want to go that route. Yeah, so the Crescent Strike coming out is going to feel a little bit bad, but hey, we got to use one of the 3 Crescent Strikes, so they weren't completely useless. Boulevard.
Well, one of them is permanent, and that's the big problem for Random. is that we were able to actually take advantage of one of the fleeting ones, and it does still sort of almost work out for Random, because I don't think this game ends in a sense where Random actually gets to run out Tiana and both copies of the Golden Aegis for full value. So he does come out ahead with at least the 3 spell mana for the turn. That's something, right?
Sure.
we might even get an inefficient Pale Cascade out of CriticalVeins here, not able to pick up the draw with it.
Yeah, I mean, all right, so I was just going to say, I do like taking all the damage, because at this point, Critical, I think, has to push for lethal, because if we can't somehow find lethal next turn on the attack phase, I think Critical is going to start having a little bit of a problem keeping, you know, what little advantage we have left. We can now commit some blockers to this attack. We're also going to use, the Crescent Strike, like you had mentioned, Boulevard. We got 2 in a row there, but it is going to be followed up with the Deny. So this worked out pretty well for Random, I think. We still live on the side of Critical, but now we're going to have to use valuable blockers that we could have eventually actually closed out the game with next turn. So things are looking iffy now for Critical.
Yeah, and Random's not going to be able to get down the Aphelios pre-combat, because it was their priority sequence where they threw out this Crescent Strike. So Random's going to be able to go straight into an open attack here, and that is a representation of lethal. We're going to have to either sacrifice the Golden or the Silver Sister. Granted, if we sacrifice the Golden Sister, I think we live, and I think we still have lethal between the 2 Pale Cascades and the buff from the Veiled Temple.
Oh, did we buff... Did we use the Pale thinking that it would buff the Golden Sister to block the Cythria?
I hope not.
Because, I mean, listen, that's definitely a mistake that can be made. I get it. It's kind of a pain sometimes trying to figure out, which unit's going to get buffed, but...
And you can't hover the eye because it's burst speed.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I mean, we still have the other Pale Cascade, just in case, so I think either way, we're pretty good. But yeah, we're still losing valuable units right now, and I do think this is where Random's able to take it away. I mean, we even have another Golden Aegis to rally up next turn too. Yeah, here we go. Yep, that's going to be... All right, so we're actually going to block the River Shaper, also get the lifesteal. So I do like this. It does trade a little bit better on board, and actually, we're able to keep basically all of our units. So this might be able to represent lethal next turn. Single combat's going to pose a problem, though, on the side of Random.
Well, not just that, Spirit's Refuge single combat.
And Sharp Sight off the top. Oh, wow.
So we could get a Gravitum here. And that does mean that... I mean, it feels so weird to grab Gravitum when your entire board is elusive. Your opponent is probably only on 1 Sharp Sight, so they're only going to have 1 blocker anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, like, Crescendum. Crescendum is so hard to get into Gravitum, though. And that's one of the beauties of something like this. You can't just easily grab that Boxtopus and stun out a unit and take everything away from your opponent.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit bad. I mean, Crescendum still does the same thing as Gravitum, but yeah, it looks like we are going to go for the Gravitum first. Now, we can Gravitum into Crescendum a little bit easier than we can Crescendum into Gravitum, as they are only 2 apart in that line of things there. But yeah, I don't know if there's a way, because of this single combat, especially combined with the Sharp Sight. I mean, okay, there's a Crescent Strike. I think single combat alongside now a top deck Brightsteel still allows Random to live. All right, no, we're actually going to grab the Trickster here. I'm trying to math out how everything works here, Boulevard. I don't think there's a way still for Critical to actually have lethal here. And now,
not with the current hand, no, but I don't know that Random necessarily wins on the crackback either.
No, it's definitely going to go on for a couple more turns. Although I will say, I think that top deck Sharp Sight is really what allowed Random to stay in this. I don't think that single combat would have been enough here. So yeah, we are going to get the Sharp Sight, going to take care of one of the Lifesteal Sisters. And we still have to use a single combat here, yep. So
we could just Refuge here. We'd go to 17.
Yep, yeah, this actually gives us the lifesteal instead.
And then we can single combat post-combat to really take maximum advantage of the lifesteal presented on the Tiana.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge tempo swing for Random here as well. Guiding Touch is just not... I mean, okay, that is definitely big, picking up the Mountain Scryer. Now we can try to pull some other possible finisher like a Great Beyond if we're able to grab it, but...
This is probably even Golden Aegis out of Random.
Yeah.
Barrier up to Cythria. Oh, okay.
No. valuing this lifesteal here.
Well, that was my thing, right? Like, oh, I guess you
Hmm.
know that, or you can think that CriticalVeins went for Gravitum. So if you do go
Which
for the
shuts that
rally,
down,
then you
yeah.
actually do get punished by that. So the single combat, a slightly
Ooh.
less greedy line.
Okay, also completely misses any sort of finisher. I mean, we have Supernova here. That is, we don't even... All right, technically, we do still behold a Celestial with the Golden
That's
Sister,
so
but
risky,
that's
though.
so risky with something like Deny, so we are going to take the Messenger. And
I wasn't even thinking Deny, but even just single combat or concerted strike to kill... Well, we have the Trickster as well, so I guess it would have had to have been Deny, but as you had mentioned, it's still a pretty big blowout.
All right, what do we got? I'm going to start with passive priority. Back over to critical here. This is definitely a lot closer than I imagined initially, Boulevard. I mean, the hand on the side of random was by no means amazing. And we can see here, though, critical, without one of those, Great Beyond or Immortal Fire, one of those closers, of the Celestials, without those, it's really becoming a problem to close out the game. And that's even with Zoe's level 2 effect that's been, pretty much on the field since, I don't know, the last 5 or 6 turns now.
Yeah, without actually getting a big celestial threat off the Mountain Scryer and instead getting the Messenger, we're not getting the game-ending power of the Zoe ability. We're just throwing down these pseudo-vanilla units, no keywords. The second Mountain Scryer will probably be the thing that determines it. If we can get, for example, a Great Beyond, give everything Spell Shield and Elusive, that should be a game ender. Random has used a lot of his tricks already. I think we're out of Spirit's Refuge at this point. We've seen most of the sharp sights. And now we have the Golden Sister or the Equinox, and we are going to go for Golden Sister, though this will currently not give everything elusive because we don't have board space.
Man, again, just not getting a Great Beyond or just something to stick to the board to try to close out the game. I mean, because a Great Beyond actually wins the game here, right? I mean, if we grab that and we toss it down at the start of next turn, we don't have anything to proc the Spell Shield. Like, it's all we need, or an Immortal Fire for that matter. And we just aren't able to find it off of these Mountain Scryers.
No, instead we get a roundabout way to get elusive, but it's so awkward to actually do. Zoe's not bad. That gets us Behold the Infinite, and that might even just be enough value to end the game from here on out. But are we looking at lethal damage with Zoe? It's 5, 10, 15. Yeah, we've got lethal with Zoe, actually. And instead we go for Golden Sister because we want the 4-attack unit before we slam Zoe over the Mountain Scryer. But it was already lethal.
Yeah, that's a little weird. I mean, it's always awkward when you have a full field with Veiled Temple. I mean, we've talked about this before in the past, Boulevard. Specifically this interaction, too, with the Golden Sister just, axing the Silver Sister. But now I think, yeah, we do have enough elusive units to close out the game here, and this is looking like it's going to be lethal. And CriticalVeins going to take home the game 1 here in round 1 versus Random. Just on the surface, seems like an upset to me. So that's definitely a good job on the part of CriticalVeins. We'll see if they're able to take it 2-0 here versus Random, or if Random's going to be able to take it to a game 3. Gotta say, I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm going to revisit what you mentioned about the deep deck. Would have loved to have seen Random try to jam this deep deck again. I was liking me some treasures, man.
Random got, if I remember correctly, Random got 17th place with the deep deck in a top 16. So it does, you can sack one tournament for the sake of being the hero. Sacking multiple does feel like a bit of a waste of your weekend.
Yeah, I guess. So what I hear out of your mouth is that we are admitting that deep is still bad.
That's not exactly what I'm saying.
No, it's bad. it's pretty bad. It's all right.
So
just tell it how it is, Boulevard.
That's what I do. I don't think deep is unplayable. I mean, he got 17th place. That might as well have been a top 16, right?
Yeah, sure. Let's call it that. Math.
we were close. I think he lost out on top 16 by breakers. So like there was a universe where deep actually topped that tournament.
Yep. All righty. Our favorite Boulevard. We got the barrier mirror match, baby.
I'm asleep.
Let's go.
I don't know if you have any books near you. I have one near me. I could start reading it.
Yeah. Are we gonna take a page out of Cass's book and start reading some poetry?
Take a page out of Cass's book. All right. So I picked up the closest book to me. Do you want me to start on page 1 or do you want me to start in the prologue?
I mean, dude, we're gonna need the prologue.
Okay. Well, I noticed that page 1 is chapter 389, so yeah, probably get the prologue.
Well, at the very
Marky
least,
Luffy started out.
Oh
just
God!
a kid
No! This doesn't end. This doesn't end.
Well,
That's like 1,000 episodes.
I only have the one volume.
Yeah, but you're gonna leave everybody on a cliffhanger. You can't do that, man.
Actually, no. This is actually a very self-contained one. We're gonna get you through the entirety of Nico Robin's backstory.
Oh, that's a good one. I like Nico Robin.
Because the only one I own is Volume 41, which is basically the Robin backstory one. So you get that whole self-contained thing, and then you get one of my favorite moments, which is the whole reason.
Okay, well, hold on. We gotta stay on brand though. I have the League of Legends lore book behind me. You can just read that.
Oh, that one's like upstairs. Yeah, I guess that would make more sense. From if you want, I also have I think I have a book about learning Korean. We could try to be as educational as possible. I also have a book about starting a podcast.
Listen, we are pretty good with the grammar lessons. I'm just saying.
That's true.
So, I mean, maybe we get that rolling back up. I can pull up a notepad. We can get that. Oh, man. The mirror match of mirror matches, ladies and gentlemen. You got to love to see it. Good old barrier mid-range. So, I mean, listen. All right. One thing I'll say, we did this, remember a really long time ago, back in the wee ages of Legends of Runeterra, when the game was just in its infancy, and nobody knew what the heck anything was or what it did. Bannerman, Demacia. Yeah. That was the mirror match. That was me and you casting, and we're going, oh man, we got to do this again. What's more entertaining, old school Bannerman mirror match or barrier mirror match?
Barrier mirror match.
If you had to choose,
because there is. So I think I had explained this to Casanova and a couple other people. The reason that I hate casting the barrier mirror so much is because when you get to look at both players' hands, it's pretty obvious who's going to win. Mm-hmm. And even if somebody throws it, that's not that entertaining. It's like not much. It's something, but it's not much. And then in the Bannerman mirrors, there was... because there was less interaction in the old Bannerman mirrors, it was just kind of like I would try to Bannerman or Cythria or Genevieve first. So like I have this 1/1 stat incremental advantage. I swing my board into you. You have to block to not die. Now I have the board. Mm-hmm. There's more room to throw in Shen Fiora because of the combat tricks and things like that. So that is what makes it a little bit more interesting for me. And I gotta say, SJW, it's been a while since we've actually seen a Stand United lethal. What happened to that, man? That's exciting. But
that is exciting.
Haven't seen that since the Ascent of Targon qualifier.
That is exciting. And actually, wait, wasn't that, if I remember correctly, wasn't that like a top deck Stand United too when that had happened?
No, it was a top deck Pale Cascade into a Hush.
That's what it was. That's what it was. Okay, sorry. Oh, the Hush. Okay, yes. All right. Yeah, and like that's entertaining because nobody typically, or I shouldn't say nobody, but generally speaking, you're not playing around Stand United until it's lethal. Like that's the one time where I think most players are like, oh crap, all right, it's really late game. They probably have another Shen in the hand. They're trying to attack for lethal. I got to worry about riposte or Stand United. And then we finally start to see it. But, you know, I remember back at that game, nobody thought about it back then for sure. Now it's definitely at the forefront of most people's minds. And, that would be nice. So we'll see if we get that here between Random and Critical. But as of now, it's looking like Random is somewhat in the lead. But I do see that Bright Steel formation in the hand of Critical. And then, like you said, it's kind of easy to tell who's usually going to have the advantage here. And one of those huge advantages is getting that Bright Steel formation down super early.
When you say super early, you mean turn 9, right?
Yes, as early as humanly possible, right? Which, I mean, is there any way in a barrier deck to reduce cost? You were quick to say yes.
Technically, yes. Green Glade. There is a 2-mana 2/1 that when it strikes reduces the cost of the largest unit in your hand.
Yeah, because we all know everybody's playing that. That would make things interesting.
You could. You asked if there was a way.
All right, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. You heard it here first, folks.
Green Glade Lookout.
There it is. Oh, that's that little like mouse-looking thing, right?
Yeah, he's
got looks like Kennen.
Telescope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Kennen pre-Kennen. It's a spoiler for Kennen coming. Is Kennen Ionia?
Yes, and I've actually ever since when they announced Bilgewater, or just Rising Tides in general, I was like, I want Kennen to be the Ionia champion.
Yep.
Because I wanted Ionia to get a self-contained stun archetype so that Yasuo wasn't pigeonholed into being Noxus. And you could experiment with other regions alongside Yasuo because there was enough stun just in Ionia for it to work.
Yeah.
But my dreams so far have been unrealized. Targon did come out, and that was, as playable as any region has been with Yasuo, so that was nice. But this was like I was talking about this back before we even had Bilgewater.
Is this Yasuo thing you're talking about? Is this a champion or something?
Actually, it was at Fight Night last night, so you can keep your goddamn mouth shut.
I know, I saw it. Who
Put some respect on his name.
Was it Mesami or something that ran
Stan.
it? Or no, sorry, it was Stan. Okay.
He got obliterated,
Yeah.
but he ran it.
but you gotta check you check off that list of things you did during Fight Night.
As cool as it is to come in and be able to like root for the Yasuo deck, you didn't expect it to win, right? Otherwise, we'd all be playing Yasuo. You knew that there's a reason nobody brings this deck.
And you know what's crazy too? He brought TF Fizz along. So like, let's bring the most ridiculous, like, toxic deck of the format and pair it with a deck that's absolutely terrible. Like, let's just have both opposite sides of the spectrum and bring it to the tournament. That'll work.
That's what I did when I went to Fight Night. I had Targon Plaza, which was just the best deck in the game, and then I had to run literally any other deck. And if I remember correctly, my win rate was like 100% on Targon Plaza, and then like, 33% on the other deck or something like that. Like, it's, you bring one deck that's just 100% win rates, and then your other deck is just like not that deck.
Now, because I had mentioned earlier, actually, now that we're on the topic of Fight Night. Actually, no, before I mention that, I will say, this Laurent Chevalier, by the way, we do, I promise, chat, we do care about this game. So we're going to at least say a couple things about the game. Laurent Chevalier, I think, is a really, really big boon in this mirror match. Having that many additional units generated, I think, is absolutely gigantic for the barrier player. What would you wait a minute for?
We've already got the Silverwing Vanguard and the Genevieve Elmhart, which is going to be,
that's insane.
Honestly, about as devastating as a board that you could throw down post Brightsteel formation.
Yeah, yup.
That is a 10-mana powerhouse.
Oh, yeah. And look at even the Shen emo already coming out of random, just knowing, man, you got the Brightsteel formation before I did. You are a good player, sir. Shen emo. That's how it works. So Fight Night Europe. I want to give a shout out to EU. By the way, I'm gonna throw Boulevard under a bus. He was hating on EU a little bit earlier. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Oh, you know what you said. You know what you did. You know what you did.
Colonizers?
No, it was because
that mostly applies to the UK. But...
What? Wow, we're gonna do some history. Forget grammar. We're gonna do history lessons now. It's because we were talking about the friends list being maxed out and removing EU from the. So, because we can't spectate EU, riot. Anyways, shout out to EU. Props, big props to EU, because, man, there was a lot of different decks brought to the EU Fight Night. I mean, we finally saw some Azir aggro in Fight Night. Well, I think there was one the week before. There was LeBlanc, Sivir mid-range. There was Mazumi brought Spider Burn? Like, wasn't expecting to see that bad boy in there. And then Renekton Overwhelmed too, so a little bit of a shout out to EU there. But CriticalVeins taking home game 2. So it is in fact gonna be a whopping 2-0 to Random there. RIP. That's a rough round 1 loss, Boulevard.